All right, welcome everybody to Just in Time, and thank you, Picante Pete, for that lovely introduction. This week we are going to be working on our forearms and the palms of our hands. It's going to be a little bit of a stretch, so get ready and let's get started. Okay, so far this is where we're at. We have our upper arms, we have our head, our chest and torso, and now what we are going to be adding is the forearms. Now, if we zoom out, this is what we see, and this is what we're going to be drawing. Basically, it's another just straight line, a somewhat circular shape, and then that would be attached to the palm of your hand, which as of now is just going to be pretty much a square. Now we are going to work with the palms and the wrist here, that little circular thing, but for right now let's just focus on this forearm. Now I did want to show you the size of the forearm, and from the middle of your elbow all the way to about where the wrist is going to be the same length or diameter as your head, same which is for the upper arm that we worked on last week, right from about the shoulder to the center of the elbow, the same. So if you start seeing your arms getting too long, go back and make sure that those are all done in the right proportions. All right, so now let's work on the limitations of the forearm. And really all I wanted to show you is just the side view, because I feel like that's pretty much the gist of it. The forearm, really all it does is it stops right about here straight. You can't bend it backwards from there or you're going to bust your elbow. You can go directly out in front of you, and then you can come up probably to about this angle, because keep in mind right here you're going to be having some of your biceps and your forearm meat, and really they cannot go through each other, so there's a limitation as to how far this arm can go. The most it can go is if you're super skinny, you've got no muscle. The more muscle you have, the less you're going to be able to squeeze that arm in. But there you have it. Those are the limits of your arm now, or of your forearm. Keep in mind that the arm does swivel, and as the arm swivels, so too does your forearm, and then your forearm can move in different directions. But really, if you were just to come from here to here, it really can only do this motion. And then anywhere back here, it's just not going to be, oops, sorry about that. Anywhere back here is just not going to be able to do anything. So anyhow, let's go to the next page, and we're going to talk about our wrists and our palms. Now this is the palm in 3D. It actually looks like a lipstick applicator. I don't know, what do you call them? Just lipstick, I guess. But what we have here is your wrist. Now let's just zoom in on that. This could be either the back of your hand, or the back of the palm of your hand, or the front, or I guess the face of the palm of your hand, and then your wrist. Okay. Now, as you turn the palm from one side to the other, you start to see the side come into focus, and you're still seeing that wrist, but it starts to get a little bit more narrow. As we turn even more, you're seeing the side, you're seeing less of the palm, and the wrist, it gets even more narrow. And then from there, you just have this like little smashed square box with a very smashed oval shape. So nothing too fantastic, but it's at least a start. Okay. Now this is if the palm is moving, I guess, towards you. You could do the same thing as it's moving away. But anyhow, let's say it's moving toward you. You start to see a little bit more of the side of the palm. This would be where the fingers would go. And then as the palm gets even closer towards you, starts turning even closer, you see more of the fingers, less of the palm, less of the wrist, and then this would be just the palm just facing directly at you, where you would not see the wrist at all. Now, if it was turned around, you would show the wrist, or you would show the forearm in that case. An awkward view, but a view nonetheless. All right, and then I have just some different types of angles that we can draw this box. And now this box is 3D. If you want, we can try to do one real quick. When drawing a three-dimensional box, I mean, this is just 101. Let's say we're doing that angle there. You always want these lines to be the same angle, okay, and about the same length. And then you're just basically going to finish off those lines, and now you've got yourself a three-dimensional box. You could go back here and do the same thing if this was an invisible hand, but we're not doing invisible hands just yet. We're not doing superheroes. We're just doing a regular old palm with a wrist. So that's how those come into play. You've got some three-dimensional ones. This one's kind of coming at you this way, starts to lean up, and then way back here it's just kind of bending upward. Now again, this could be the palm or the back of the palm or the front of the palm. It doesn't matter. No matter how you draw these, they're going to look like this for right now. As we get more detailed and we start adding fatty tissue and fingers and all that sort of stuff, you will start to notice there's a difference between the face of the palm and the back of your palm. But for now, it's going to look like this from the front or from the back. And that, my friends, is the palm of your hand in 3D. All right, so the best way to kind of look at this, again, we're going to work with some photos of some people, and we're going to start drawing these arms, these forearms, as well as the palms and wrists. Okay, now here we got a girl, and she looks like so free. She's having the best day of her life. The rest of us are at work and poor, and she is just living life like there's no care in the world. And don't we all wish we could live like that? But let me go ahead and reduce the opacity here. And let's start with her head. Again, always starting with the head. And we are going to sketch out that circular face. All right. And we'll go ahead and get this line here so we can find where those eyes are at. Now remember, our eyes as of now are just always open. She doesn't look too that attractive anymore, I would have to say. She just looks like a stick man. And there we go. We have the neck, half the diameter of the head. And now let's work on this chest. We're going to keep that chest in taco formation. And let's see here. We'll probably put it about right there. Awesome. All right, and then we'll go ahead and draw the rest of her torso there. And now her arms are up, so that means her shoulders are up. Okay. And now let's work with those upper arms, the elbows. Now we're just going to draw straight through her chin, and you'll know if you're making that elbow too long because it's not going to really match that arc there. You want them to match. You don't want the elbow way up here. You want it right where the other arm stopped as well. In fact, mine elbow, I would say, is maybe a little bit high. I don't know. I'm just going to draw it about right here. Guessing. All right, so let's work on these forearms now. We're going to draw that line. Now this one is at an angle, right? Here's your different knuckles. So what we're going to do is we're going to first just start with this. I think that would be the easiest place to go. And then we're going to go about right here. Actually, no, I don't want to do that angle. There we go. All right, let me fix that. There we go. There is our palm, and we're going to draw a little bit of the wrist and shablang. There we go. I'm going to draw this arm coming out here. Now this wrist, I'll start with these where the fingers are again. And we'll draw that wrist there, and there you have it. Boom. Hallelujah. There's our character all drawn out, and look at that. It wasn't even that hard to do. Now it's a little hard to understand here when you don't have all the fingers and stuff. You're not sure really what's going on. This one you can kind of tell that maybe the fingers come out this way. But again, it's one of those things that we're just going to get more detailed over time. But for now, let's just focus on the shapes and the proportions, and keeping them looking the same throughout all of our drawings. Let's go to the next picture here. And we got this guy doing some chai tea. I think that's a good martial art, I believe. Or a drink. I'm not sure. We got him reduced in opacity, and let's get this head started. Oh, nice circle head. And we'll just go ahead and draw. Oops, oh, he's got a big nose today. And then we'll draw the neck. Let's draw kind of where his chest would end. Now we are going to see a little bit more of the top of his chest in this particular view. Make sure that those chests definitely have that taco shape, okay? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and draw that torso. Shablang, there you go. I'll probably stop it about right there. And then we'll go ahead and get this shoulder going. Remember, the shoulder does come, that circle does come within that chest there, so don't draw it outside of the chest. Once you've drawn it, if you want to simplify it a little bit, you can do something like that. All right, now we'll go ahead and draw these arms, upper arms with the elbows. All right, then we'll draw this forearm. All right, let's work on the palms and the wrists. And now if you look, this kind of comes down like that. All right, you've got your digits, but he's got this contorted in kind of a strange way. So it's going to kind of have a motion like that. And then we'll draw the wrist. So there we have it. So working with these human figures, these photos is really, really helpful, especially if you're just starting to do this for the first time and you're like, how am I ever going to get this? Well, if you keep drawing these people in motion the way we're doing right now, you're really going to start to understand it and you'll pick it up super fast. So let's see what we got here. That looks pretty cool. You know, you take away the photo and you're like, wow, I actually did a pretty good job on this character. You know, I mean, that looks amazing. It looks like he's in the middle of doing something pretty darn cool, and it just did not take that long to do for us. All right, so let's go with the third photo here. Now she's doing some sort of, I don't know, interpretive dance. I have no idea, but we're going to draw her, and we're going to start with the head. There we go. We'll draw the line for the eyes. And we'll go ahead and draw that nose. Awesome. And let's see. Let's go with the neck. There we are. And let's go ahead and draw this chest. Now, don't be afraid. We're not worried about her womanly parts. We're just worried about the chest. And remember, we all learned how to draw those taco shells, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We know where that shoulder is. We know where her chest is. And we're just going to draw. Every time it should look exactly the same. Okay, so if it's looking all warped and weird, grab a taco shell and put it in that angle and go, okay, what am I doing wrong? Okay, so there we go. We have the chest. If we were to draw like an invisible taco shell, we'd see that the spine would probably be somewhere around here in the center, and it would come down. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this part. And now let's work with those shoulders. there, and we'll put one right there. All right, now I'm going to draw the line for the upper arm and the elbow. Awesome. And then we'll go ahead and draw this forearm. Now this one's going to be pretty easy. We'll just go ahead and make that square. We'll probably see a little bit of the side there, and then we'll see the wrist. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but get it as close as you can. Closer that you can do this, and the better you're going to be in the future. Let's see, always make those lines in the same. So see how it's going like this? That would have been wrong. So I have to really quickly correct it and go boom, boom. So this one must be like that. And then we'll go ahead and finish off. Now remember, this line matches this because it's a square. And then we'll go ahead and do the wrist there. It's not wrong to make mistakes, just wrong when you just decide not to learn from them, right? All right, so wow, look at that. Pretty cool stance, something that probably most of you thought you would never be able to do. Now we're able to do it. And it's just a matter of just kind of putting this body together piece by piece. And hey, congratulations, we are already finishing the top portion of the human body. That's pretty cool. All right, so this one looks very complicated and probably a little scary. One of the reasons because she's all blurry down here, or back here where her head is and her other shoulder. So it makes you go, oh, I don't even know if I could do this. Well, we can. All we have to do is start with the head and we can make anything work. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that layer. We'll have a nice opacity, which makes it even scarier because now we can barely see her. But let's not be scared. Let's first draw this head, okay? Now the cool part about this head in particular is that we don't have to draw any eyes or nose. We just have to draw the top of the head. So that already is a lifesaver right there, right? All right, next, we know we're going to be drawing the top side of this taco shell for the chest, right? Because we have probably the top would be around here. And it would probably stop about here. All right, so now all we have to do, and I apologize, I've got some construction going on outside, so if you hear some noises, just pretend like they don't exist. All right, so now there you go. We've got that rounded taco shell part in the front. We're not really seeing any of the insides because she's leaning toward us, so that's about it. All right, so now we can make a guess that the shoulder is here and the other shoulder is here. So that's cool. So let's start with the hardest arm first, because if we start to draw it after we draw this one, it's just going to get messy. So the first thing we're going to do is, now remember that last week I showed you what it looks like when an arm comes towards you. The less of that bicep you're going to see. And it's about right here where I would say we start to see the shoulder come into play. And I'm going to put the shoulder about right there. Okay? Then the next one would be the forearm. Now this comes directly at us. You know, it's staying in line with that bicep. But now let's figure out this palm, because I think that right about here is where we're going to stop seeing that forearm. So let's look at the palm. We know our fingers are here, so we know that at least we know where one side is, correct? And so that would give us reason to believe that the palm stops about here where the pinky is. We know we have to keep these lines in line. And then we are probably coming out, this way, because we know the thumb is over here. We've got to keep these parallel with each other. All right, and then we're gonna keep these parallel with each other, and then draw that, finish up that square. So there you have it. That would be where I believe our palm is going to be at. Now, I will say this, because the palm is here and because our wrist is here, I'm going to say that probably this forearm's going to kind of be bending that way a little bit more. Okay? All right, so we got that. Now we just have to do the easy part. We're drawing this upper arm here. We're going to draw the elbow And then we're going to go ahead and draw this forearm, which extends out to about here. We're going to get this wrist going. Stop the wrist about here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a little portion of that. I'm sorry if I keep saying wrist and palm. Palm, wrist. All right. You know what I was talking about. Come on. Anyway, so there we go. I'm going to get rid of this portion of her body that's behind her palm. And I'm going to go ahead and look. Oh, actually, we forgot one thing. We forgot that little waisty part, and torso. And now we've got all our parts in play. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And that looks pretty darn cool. In fact, you could probably use that kind of, I don't know, position for somebody that's diving towards somebody, like in an action pose. Maybe they're diving into the water and you're seeing them come, headfirst from the sky, or potentially maybe they're jumping away from an explosion. But I mean, that is a really cool body position to be able to draw. And it just took a little bit of time to understand the dynamics of the arms, the elbows, the palms, the wrists, the head, and all that. But once we drew it, you realize it's just not as difficult as it would seem to be. Really practice this stuff this week, because we're going to start working next week with the hips. And once you start adding the hips, now the whole body starts to swivel. There's a lot of swiveling and moving parts in a body. And if you're not starting here with some of these foundational exercises that we've learned so far, don't expect to get down into the legs and be a pro. So practice, 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 and I will see you next week, my friends. God bless.